Hello, how are you doing? My name is Otto and welcome to the channel. Today, I would like to compare two cameras from the brand DJI. This one over here is the DJI Pocket 2, a very popular camera that is actually one of my favorite devices. And this other one is the DJI Action 2, which is basically an action camera that has a lot of features that I like. Except that it has one problem that could be a deal breaker for many of you. The DJI Pocket 2 is this small device that has a small camera on a 3-axis gimbal. The gimbal helps the camera to stay stable and it does a great job, otherwise your video might look like this. On the handle, we have a joystick to control the gimbal or to zoom in and zoom out. We also have a record button and a few other buttons to change a few settings. The Pocket 2 has a 1-inch touch screen which is very responsive, but the only downside here is the small size. The DJI Action 2 is a tiny action camera, and depending on which version you buy, you will either get a module that is just a battery, or this one, which is also a battery, but it has a front-facing screen. The battery size that you get on either module is exactly the same, but you get less battery life if you get the module that has the second screen. The main camera module has a weight of 56 grams, and even if you attach one of the modules, the total weight will be less than 120 grams. The main camera module is completely sealed. It has a touchscreen on the back, it is waterproof up to 10 meters, and it has 32 gigs of internal memory. But be aware that for pictures and videos, you can only use a total of 22.4 gigs. So if you want to insert a micro SD card or if you want to charge the main camera, you need to attach one of the two modules to do that, which by the way are not waterproof. The screen size is double the size of the one on the Pocket 2, and this is a big advantage for the Action 2, not only because of the size, but it also feels more responsive. The small size and the front-facing display on these cameras makes them perfect for vlogging and also for people who like to travel and for people who want to make viral videos in general. The DJI Action 2 has 3 different field of views. The ultra-wide has an incredible field of view of 155 degrees. We also get a wide field of view and a standard one, which will have the least amount of distortion. Both cameras can shoot regular videos, time-lapses, and hyperlapses. We can also take JPEG or RAW pictures with them, and the Pocket 2 can also take panorama shots. I like the presets for time-lapses that the Action 2 has, which is great for the casual user or beginners, where you can select a preset for crowds, clouds, or sunsets. The Action 2 can be used as a webcam on your computer, and you can also live stream to Facebook and YouTube using the app on your smartphone. And this is not something that you can do with the Pocket 2. On the Action 2, you will get around 60 minutes of battery life on the main camera on lower resolutions. At 4K at 24 frames per second, you're looking at only 30 minutes of record time. And the extra module will give you between 60 and 100 minutes depending on the resolution. The Pocket 2 has a battery life of 140 minutes shooting at 1080p. At 4K, the battery will last about 120 minutes. So the duration of the battery is very similar, but the downside of the Pocket 2 is that the battery is not replaceable. For the Action 2, you can now buy extra power modules, which is basically a spare battery, but they are a bit expensive at $75 each. The good news is that these cameras can be charged on the go, and you can use a power bank like this one and use the cameras at the same time. I really like the fact that these cameras are quite easy to use even if you are a beginner, and straight out of the box, the auto settings are going to give you great results. And if you are an advanced user, you can turn the Pro mode on, which will let you change the shutter speed, the ISO, the white balance, and the color profile. The front of the lens on these devices are magnetic, and you can attach different kind of lenses that DJI sell. But my favorite one for the Pocket 2 is this set from the brand Freewell that has a wide-angle lens, an anamorphic lens that will give you these cool effects, and it also comes with 4 ND filters that you can use in combination with those lenses. For the Action 2, DJI sells a macro lens for $79, which I haven't tested, but you can also get these freewheel ND filters which are magnetic, and they are amazing to follow the 180-degree rule by cutting down the amount of light that comes into the sensor. The Pocket 2 and the Action 2 have pretty good internal microphones. The camera and sensor on these two devices are the same size, but they're going to give you different results. For regular videos, I feel that the Pocket 2 has the upper hand with better image quality and the colors look more natural. On the Action 2, the colors look a bit oversaturated. The corners of the video seem to be lacking details, and the flares on the Action 2 do not look very good. These two cameras are not going to be great on low light situations, but if you look at these two video clips shot with ISO 1600, I would say that the Pocket 2 does a better job. When I use both cameras with auto settings, you can clearly see a difference in the video quality as well, where the Pocket 2 does a better job, and this has been quite consistent for the past year. The DJI Action 2 uses Rocksteady 2.0, which is an electronic stabilization, and in my opinion, it does a good job. It also has Horizon Steady, which will keep your videos straight even if you're tilting the camera to the left or the right. And combining Rocksteady with Horizon Steady will almost make you feel like you're using the camera on a gimbal. The downside of Horizon Steady is that it only works on a standard field of view at 2.7K or 1080p and below 100 frames per second. On the Pocket 2, you can activate subject and object tracking, and it comes very handy in many situations, for example when shooting B-roll. But more useful is the fact that you can put down the Pocket 2 and with active track, it's going to make the camera follow you around. Let's talk about video resolution. The Pocket 2 can shoot at 4K up to 60 frames per second, but the Action 2 can shoot at 4K up to 120 frames per second. And like I said, I like the video quality of the Pocket 2 over the Action 2, but here is the interesting part. A slow motion on the Pocket 2 will only record at 1080p at 120 or 240 frames per second. But the Action 2 can record the slow motion not only at 1080p but also at 4K at 120 frames per second with a higher bitrate than the Pocket 2 and producing a higher quality slow motion video. I had the same result with time lapses where the Action 2 can record at 4K with double the bitrate than the Pocket 2, which can record time lapses at only 1080p and not at 4K. Now, one of the biggest problems of the Action 2 is that because of the small size, it gets hot quite fast. This happens mostly at 4K using higher frames per second, and it might be a deal breaker if you want to keep recording for long periods of time. For someone like me, this is not really a problem because of the way I use it, where I find myself recording short video clips and I never had the Action 2 overheat or shut down. The Pocket 2 is also a small device and it might get warm to the touch, but nothing crazy where it would shut down or overheat at all. So this might be a better choice if you're going to be making longer video clips. There is going to be a link to the cameras and the ND filters on the description below if you want to check them out. Please give this video a like and say something on the comment section. I hope you have an amazing day and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.